Hello, my dear friends. In Israel, I think the entire country is united in the war effort. There are young men and women who are in the front. Others are serving in different capacities in Sahel. The entire country is providing as much support as possible. There are people who are going to the fields to harvest the fruit, helping out in businesses in different capacities. People are making barbecues. I just heard from Robert Kreitman that his son-in-law, Mark Zefrin, has scoured the country top and bottom and made 80 barbecues in the last 3 months to help maintain the morale and the spirits of the soldiers in Sahel. So everybody is doing their effort. I fear that here in America, and it's probably true in the rest of the diaspora as well, there's a somewhat of a sense of malaise or despondency. It's so long; it's already 3 months. We don't see the war coming to an end in the near future. The hostages are still in captivity, and we perhaps feel, what could I do already? There's not much more that I could contribute, and that is a terrible mistake. First, our financial support is extremely important. Political pressure on the politicians is enormously important as well. And our davening makes a big difference. And it's hard to maintain the passion. Things go on for a long time. We lose the sensitivity, the feeling, the emotion. But we have to try our best to maintain the passion. But I would say that it's not only in these areas, but there's another way that we can help, and that is this battle. I've said many times, this is a religious war. It's not just a military battle. It's not just political. It's a religious war between forces of good and evil, between Klal Yisrael and Amalek, or whichever part of the evil empire is out there, and we are a major part of that battle. In an army, there's people that are in active duty, and then there's support. People provide food, transportation, supplies, things like that. Our role is support, and we have to try to do our best, and not to get burned out. Our support is enormously important. I've quoted the Gemara many times. The Gemara in Kedushin says, "The olam yera atzmo." Person should always see himself as if he's chetzi chayav chetzi zakai. His mitzvahs and averos are on a scale, and they're exactly balanced. And if he does one mitzvah, tips the scale in a positive way. One avera tips it in a negative way. And the same thing, the entire world, the person should imagine that the world is in the balance. And one never knows what one more mitzvah does, what one more positive act, an act of chesed, an act of kindness, that could tip the scale, and it can make the difference in terms of security of the tzahal, of the soldiers, in terms of the war effort, in terms of the political environment. We can tip the scale, and our job is to provide support. And you can't, in the middle of the war, you can't slack up and say, okay, I've tried already for so long and nothing has happened. That's a terrible way of thinking. The Rashi says in this week's parsha, there's a pasuk that says, "Who Moshe v'Aaron?" He was Moshe. They were Moshe and Aaron, and it's like in the middle. You look at the pasuk; it's Perek Vav pasuk Chav Zayin. It seems to be like sitting there in the middle of nowhere, not explaining anything. Who Moshe v'Aaron? Now you have to see the whole context of the psukim. But what does it mean? Who Moshe v'Aaron? So Rashi says, "Who Moshe v'Aaron? Heim b'chol." They remain at their post as shlichim, as the agents of Klal Yisrael, and their righteousness from beginning to end. In other words, they stayed the course. They had a mission. They were the leaders of Klal Yisrael, and they didn't slack off. They didn't say, it's too hard already, and it's too long, and this and that. They stayed the course, mitchilo atzof. And Moshe Rabbeinu, even at the end of the 40 years, the Chumash says in the end of Devarim, Moshe b'mei of esim shana b'moso. Moshe was 120 years old when he died. His eye was not diminished. His eye was not dimmed, and his vigor was not diminished. Lo his vigor was not diminished. And you see that even though it was after 40 years, and it's easy to get burned out after such a long period of time, Moshe Rabbeinu was passionate the whole time. And it's who Moshe are, and he remained in his shlichus, he remained in his post the whole time. And we have to emulate that. We have to be, we can't afford to be so wishy-washy and, or dry. We have to be strong and firm and passionate. His vigor was not diminished. And we have to remember that every single thing that we do can make a difference. Whether, for example, we don't speak Lashon Hara, it's hard not to say Lashon Hara, and sometimes you feel you want to say something. Hold yourself back and remember, you're a part of the army. You can't afford to slack up now, or a person becomes angry, or that's something that has to be controlled, or you have an opportunity to do a chesed, or to bring about more shalom bayis. Whatever it is that we could do, we have to feel an urgency, and we have a shlich, just like Moshe and Aaron had their shlichus. They were agents of the Ribono Shel Olam. They were acting as in the capacity of the leaders of the Klal Yisrael at the behest of the Ribono Shel Olam. So we have a shlichus. Our shlichus is to do the best that we can, provide support. Our support. We're not making barbecues here in America, although we could contribute to barbecues, but we're not doing that. We're not going to see the soldiers. But we need to we have to be on best behavior. We have to stay the course, and not to feel, well, it's so long and it's dragging out, and what could we do already? And it's not true. I heard from Missy Rifkin today a beautiful thought. He told me he heard this from his son Rav Zeb. It was at a gathering in Lakewood, and one of the speakers said, this week was the beginning of Chodesh Shvat. Shvat, you have Tu B'Shvat. The 15th day of Shvat is the Chag HaGonos. It's the holiday of the trees. And the Gemara says, what's special? What does it have to do with the trees? You go outside on Tu B'Shvat, there's not a leaf to be seen. No place. The trees, everything is dead. It's still the winter. What does it mean? Why is it a holiday of the trees? So the Gemara says, because it's the beginning of the time when the sap begins to rise in the trees. You don't see it. It's behind the scenes. But the sap is rising, and the fruit will eventually emerge from that sap. And our mitzvos are contributing to the sap of the ilanos, of the trees, of the fertile land of Eretz Yisrael. We are empowering the Jewish nation to fight against their enemies. And even if we don't see the results at the moment, the person has to know it's there. We're planting seeds. We're bringing the sap into the tree. We're invigorating the country. We're doing our part, and we have to be united with Klal Yisrael, and that's how we unite, by doing what we can, and we have to stay the course. We cannot afford to get burned out at a time like this. We have to tip the scales and do our part, our mitzvah. Learn more, daven more, give more tzedakah, do more chesed. I always speak about the importance of complimenting people. I gave somebody a compliment on the phone yesterday. I was talking. I spoke last week about Medicare. I'm still having problems with Medicare, so I called up Social Security to ask them a question about my policy and where is the thing standing. And it took about 20 minutes for the person to figure out what's going on. And I said, sir, I thank you. She says, I'm not doing very much. I said, no, it's not true. Look how much you helped me. And also I said, you have such a pleasant way of talking. You're friendly and personable. He was so moved that I said that to him. And you see how easy it is to make a person feel good. And he thanked me 5 times for the compliment. We have much more power than we imagine and we may realize. So we are the support staff. We can't forget that. We're not divorced from what's going on in Eretz Yisrael. We are part of Klal Yisrael, and we are in the support part of the army, and we have to stay the course and do what we can. And in Mitzvah Hashem, we hope that very soon we should be able to see Yeshuos and the Chamos, especially the hostages, should go free and the war should come to an end, and there should be Shalom al Yisrael. Thank you for listening, and have a wonderful Shabbos.